Nebraska Cornhuskers, under the leadership of sixth-year head coach Barry Collier, ended their longest homestand in 80 years with a 6-1 record as they now travel to Omaha. Dana Altman's 3-2 Creighton Blue Jays open a 4-game homestand against the Huskers, but their preseason All-American Nate Funk is one of several injured Jays. The I-80 rivalry continues next. From the beautiful Quest Center in Omaha, Nebraska, NET Sports, Nebraska's home for sports, presents NCAA basketball. Today, it's a battle for state bragging rights as the Creighton Blue Jays host the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Hi again, everybody. Kevin Kugler from Quest Center, Omaha. It's one of those games that each year when the schedule comes out, fans underline this matchup. Creighton and Nebraska, a great one for fans of both schools. The rivalry's been a little bit lopsided toward the Jays. They've won 5 of the last 6, but Nebraska feels like this might be the year they can start to equalize this rivalry. Working with me today is Scott Shoemaker. And Scott, the story for Creighton today is probably not who's on the floor, but who's not on the floor for the Jays.
Absolutely, Kevin. When this game came out on the schedule, it was expected that Creighton would have its full complement of players. Unfortunately, that's not been the case in the last couple of weeks. That injury list starts with Nate Funk, as you mentioned, the preseason All-America candidate. He's battling a torn labrum in his left shoulder. His status for the rest of the year is not known right now. Sadly for the Blue Jays, he's been joined on the injury list by Pierce Hibma, sophomore guard from Iowa, and also as of Friday, the senior guard, Jimmy Moats from Lincoln, Nebraska. So the Blue Jays working very shorthanded in today's ball game.
Creighton with just 8 scholarship players. Nebraska's working almost 8 newcomers into the lineup, but it's been a veteran that's led them, Scott, in Wes Wilkinson.
And I'm sure the people around the state of Nebraska are thinking, finally, we're seeing the kind of player that we thought Wes Wilkinson would be when he signed with the Huskers 4 years ago out of Grand Island, Nebraska. He's developed into the team's leading scorer. He also leads the team in block shots, leads the team in three-point field goal percentage, and is second in rebounding. So he's developed an all-around game and has been the big reason why the Huskers are 6-1 at this point.
It's the rivalry renewed once again, Nebraska and Creighton, and it's next on NET Sports. Just up the road from the Quest Center, the Creighton campus, covered in snow. Beautiful holiday scene as we sit in this holiday season, and inside, well, a frenetic scene. Sellout crowd as you look at the starting lineups for Nebraska: Charles Richardson, Jason DeRusso, Joe McCray, Wes Wilkinson, and Alex Marich. For Creighton, it'll be Nick Porter, Johnny Mathis, Josh Dotzler, Dane Watts, and Anthony Tolliver. Starting for the shorthanded Creighton Blue Jays, as Scott mentioned, Nate Funk, Pierce Hibma, and Jimmy Moats out with injury today. As you look at Dana Altman in his 12th season as the head man for the Creighton Blue Jays, hasn't had many challenges bigger than this one. And Dana Altman trying to figure out just how to win with those 8 scholarship players. Barry Collier in the midst of that huddle in his 6th season as the head man for the Huskers. A little more athletic team than Nebraska fans have seen in years past under Barry Collier. We'll see if that athleticism and that depth, Scott, play a big role here in this game today.
Well, it sure seems like it will, Kevin. We've mentioned already, Creighton is limited to 8 scholarship players. They do have a 9th player on the bench, a walk-on in Dustin Stissman. But nonetheless, Nebraska likes to play pressure defense, and their possessions per game has increased this year. That was mentioned before the start of the season, that because of the increase of the number of athletic players, Creighton, Nebraska might try to rush the ball up the floor a little bit more quickly, and so far that has paid off. So look for Nebraska to try and push the tempo issue, and look for Creighton maybe to play at a little bit slower pace than it would normally want to.
There's a look inside the Jays huddle. Dana Altman with 221 wins in his Creighton tenure. Getting his 222nd today will be a pretty big challenge. Nebraska at 6-1. Their only loss, a 1-point loss at home to UAB. Huskers' first foray out of the Bob Devaney Sports Center and it comes just up the road. In fact, Nebraska's non-conference schedule very favorable for the Huskers. They don't have to leave the state of Nebraska until the end of the year when they go down to take on Florida State in the Orange Bowl Classic.
And probably designed that way, Kevin. Only 83 combined career starts for Nebraska before the start of this season. They've been at home, have not played a real challenging schedule. Creighton has been on the road 3 times already. But both teams have questions to be answered in today's ballgame.
The Jays at 3-2, the Huskers at 6-1, and the most highly anticipated non-conference basketball matchup every year about to get underway here in the state of Nebraska. Tolliver will jump for Creighton against Alex Marich for Nebraska. Tip controlled by the Jays, and we're underway. Josh Dotzler, the fine freshman out of Bellevue, Nebraska, will bring it up. Dotzler is going to be called upon to do a lot today in that Creighton offense. Johnny Mathis. Now Dane Watts had a great freshman year a year ago.
Nebraska playing straight up man-to-man, Kevin. Excuse me there.
Dotzler with 11 on the shot clock. Nick Porter now. Going to fire the first 3 of the day. A little strong, and Wilkinson doing what he does so well this year, grabs the board. Wes Wilkinson sends it over to Jason DeRusso. First Husker possession of the afternoon. We're scoreless.
Creighton also in a man. Expect to see the Blue Jays play more zone than normal because of the injury situation. The Blue Jays played almost exclusively zone on defense Tuesday night in the loss to Chattanooga.
Alex Marich working the dribble with 10 to shoot. Richardson, not an offensive guy. He's got 5 to shoot, needs to figure out somewhere to go. Here's Marich. Left it short, and Tolliver, the rebound. Good defense, first possession for the Jays.
Good defense, both teams mirroring the offensive possessions in that they were not very certain of what they were trying to do and get accomplished. Nice defense on Marich once he got the ball on the block, and Creighton comes up with a defensive rebound.
No score. Minute and a half in here at the Quest Center. Johnny Mathis has his shot blocked by Jason DeRusso. Great wingspan, then DeRusso throws it away. Dotzler with a steal. Pull-up jumper for Dotzler, left it short. Mathis the rebound. And a foul. Creighton working hard early, getting the steal and doing what so many of Dana Altman's teams have done, and that's just work hard defensively.
Work hard, excellent anticipation by Josh Dotzler, the freshman from Bellevue West High School in Omaha. We didn't get to see the steal on that replay, but an excellent anticipation play by Dotzler and leads to the free throw attempts by Mathis.
Mathis averaging 10.5 points per game, and the first free throw is good. He's shooting 77% this year from the line, and with Nate Funk's injury, Scott, this is a guy that Creighton needs to step up from a scoring standpoint.
Particularly with Jimmy Moats not available today. One of the seniors on the squad outside of Funk, and he has had one good game this year. He had a career-high 24 points in the victory over Dayton, but really has been looking to find his offense in the other games Creighton has played. 1-0
Jays lead it. Charles Richardson into the starting lineup. Has been a part-time starter the last couple of years for Nebraska. Now Jason DeRusso, the senior, back to Richardson. 10 to shoot. Huskers having a hard time in the half court early. McCray will fire the 3. Off the mark. There's another rebound for Wilkinson. His third, and he's pinned by Tolliver.
The rebound was too easy for Nebraska from Creighton's standpoint, but Tolliver able to erase the rebound with a nice defensive play.
And a good defensive play on the other end by Joe McCray, able to save it for Nebraska. DeRusso, rather Richardson, back to DeRusso, trailing on the play, and he walked with it.
Nebraska, the bigger, the more athletic team, and thus far Creighton's been able to neutralize it. Only 2.5 minutes in, the Blue Jays again are going to be playing at a slower pace than Creighton fans are accustomed to seeing them play, simply because they don't have enough bodies on the bench to sub in at a fashionable rate, playing a high-pressure defense.
Tolliver down low, trying to turn. Back out to Dotzler. Wanted to shoot it, didn't have the ball yet. 1-0 Creighton with the lead. Tolliver gets around Marich. Little pull-up for Tolliver, no good. Rebound tipped into the corner. There's Wilkinson again with the board. That's his 4th already. DeRusso on the run. Partially blocked by Tolliver. Takes it back up, and he lost it. Dotzler on the move. The layup, no. Tolliver again, and he's fouled.
Anthony Tolliver playing like a man possessed. He's taking it in the first 3 minutes on his shoulders to replace Funk and Hibma and Mose and everybody else, playing great defense, running the floor, grabbing the offensive rebound, and he gets a chance for 2 at the line.
The foul on Alex Marich, that's his first, Nebraska's second, and Tolliver, a 74% foul shooter, misses the first free throw. Substitution for the Jays, Brees Nensu, the 6'5" native of Cameroon, into the lineup for Nick Porter. And the substitution options will be rather limited today for Dana Altman.
Prior to the start of the year, it was Altman and his staff's intention to try and get 10 to 12 minutes a game perhaps for Porter and Nensu once the team started Valley Conference play. But obviously with the injury situation, each of those 2 guys are going to have to play more minutes than that today. And the staff is just not sure whether they're ready to accommodate all of the extra minutes and all of the extra duties that they'll entail in that time.
Reversed by Marich, left it short, and the rebound out to Dotzler. Taking it all the way in. Dotzler's pull-up, he left it short.
Nice decision-making by Dotzler, allowed to take the ball all the way into the lane. Nobody stopped him out top. He just didn't convert the opportunity.
Wilkinson's 3 is good, and Wes Wilkinson, he can hurt you so many ways, inside and outside, and he gives the Huskers the lead.
So versatile. Tolliver has been very effective in the paint, but his game is not out on the floor, and Wilkinson will have the advantage when he gets the ball on the perimeter.
A whistle. And a foul away from the ball. Looks like Joe McCray, who got tangled up with Brees Nensu, picks up the foul. That is his first, the team's third, and a timeout on the floor. A defensive start to this in-state rivalry. Nebraska leading Creighton 3-2. Quest Center, Omaha. Another huge crowd. It's been an extremely busy weekend here in the Quest Center. Almost 30,000 through the doors Friday and Saturday for NCAA volleyball. I'd guess another 15 on hand here today for Nebraska and Creighton men's basketball.
A great credit to Nebraska fans for volleyball, and also just fans of volleyball in general, to fill this place in back-to-back nights. Unheard of in the NCAA history to have 15,000 people in a building to watch a volleyball match. Today, this game has been sold out for weeks and weeks. Again, great anticipation coming into the season with the game on the schedule. Creighton just hoping to live up to its end of the deal today.
B.J. Walker into the lineup off the timeout for Nebraska, the 6'9" junior college transfer out of Cincinnati. 3-2, Nebraska with the 1-point lead. Johnny Mathis for 3, and it's good. We talked about it when he was at the line, Scott. Johnny Mathis must score for Creighton to have a chance today.
That's a good sign for Creighton. He came into the game without a 3-point field goal in his last 2 games after the 24-point game against Dayton, so that's a good sign for the Blue Jays.
B.J. Walker leaves it short, and Tolliver grabs the rebound. Creighton with a 2-point lead, 5-3. Nensu with a 3. That's a little bit long, and Mathis fouled by DeRusso as he grabs the board, and that's number 2 on Jason DeRusso.
Probably not the shot that the Blue Jays are looking for early in the possession, Kevin. But again, you don't want to put a harness on a player like Nensu. He has great physical ability, really still just learning the game after having played soccer for most of his youth. And he's just going to have to learn to take good shots within the flow of the offense, and he'll learn when he gets back to the bench that first shot was not a good shot within the flow of the offense.
Tolliver sits down for Creighton, Jeff Day in, and Nebraska's freshman backcourt, Jamel White and Marcus Walker, on the floor for the Huskers. Dane Watts trying to drive on Wilkinson. Wilkinson with the block, and the Big 12's block shot leader comes up with another one. McCray inside the paint, and that's going to be a travel. Foot slipped out on Joe as he tried to play it, and it's a turnover to the Jays.
And the Nebraska coaches have talked about McCray and his desire to try and show that he has more offensive capabilities than simply shooting the 3-point shot, and that has tended to get him into trouble. And there was a classic example, trying to take the ball into the lane and shuffle his feet, looking for the shot.
Scott Early, the tempo and the pace of this game very much in favor of Creighton. Mathis got open for a 3, and he hits back-to-back. Johnny Mathis, the senior out of Louisville, gives Creighton a 5-point lead.
And here's the first chance for Creighton to set up in a full-court pressure situation. Typically, you'd see it on 95% of their opponent's possessions, but today, again, because of the decreased numbers, not going to see it that frequently.
Perhaps a little bit more when Nebraska has this backcourt in with White and Walker, the 2 freshmen. Wilkinson at the top, guarded by Nensu, and there's a foul. Brees Nensu, that's not a matchup that favors Creighton. Wilkinson on Nensu.
Wilkinson much more experienced than Nensu. Obviously has a great height advantage. Now most of his offense tends to come from the perimeter, and Nensu has good quickness and he can match up that way, but obviously he's given up 4 to 5 inches to Wilkinson.
First team foul on the Jays. McCray looking down low to Walker against Day. Walker, big, strong, physical player, but he misses the shot and Day gets the rebound. Huskers just 1 for 7 from the floor. Nensu, free throw line jumper, no good. There's McCray with a board.
That's better offense for Creighton. They don't mind a shot from Nensu in the lane. He's just not able to convert.
Walker double dribble, and another Nebraska turnover. That's number 5 on the Huskers here in this first half.
And if you're Nebraska, you're thinking that most of those have been unforced, Kevin. Of those 5, maybe 4 have been unforced. Nebraska, much like Creighton, trying to find its way, trying to find its role with new players on the floor. Their first road game of the year as well, maybe playing into this their play through the first 6.5 minutes tonight. But again, as you mentioned, the pace more suited to what Creighton needs to play today.
1 made bucket so far for Nebraska. That's the 3 from Wes Wilkinson, who has 3 points and 5 rebounds. Mathis leads Creighton with 7. Another shot up for Johnny Mathis, will not go, but there's Day with a strong rebound. Takes it back up, and Wilkinson clears the board.
Day and Tolliver and Watts, all of the Creighton inside players are going up against guys that they're not going to face very often come the conference season. But today they got their hands full.
That's Marcus Walker's game right there, the freshman out of Kansas City. One of the top point guard recruits in the country. He loves to get up and down the floor and run, and he can fill it up.
A great scorer, as evidenced by his 30-point-plus a game average last year at O'Hara High School in Kansas City.
Nick Porter back out to Dotzler. Good pass out to Tolliver. A little bit out, and Wilkinson gets another rebound. That is rebound number 6 for Wilkinson. Inside, and a foul is called. B.J. Walker pulled down by Tolliver. Earlier today, we talked with Barry Collier and asked him what the keys to the game for Nebraska were.
Well, I think like everything else, we would have to start with defense and rebounding. We do a good job there, and we have done a good job in the past in some of these games. But on the other side of it, we've got to be patient and execute offensively. Those, that kind of covers the gambit. But I really think that you get tested in competitive games, and probably both teams will be required to play well on both ends.
Another Nebraska turnover, number 6, Scott, in this first half, coming on the out-of-bounds play.
Wilkinson had slipped away from Jeffrey Day, but simply couldn't catch the inbounds pass. Nebraska turns it over for number 6 on the day.
Day sets the screen. Dotzler down the baseline, throws it away. Another Creighton turnover, and on the move quickly, Jamel White, the freshman out of New York. Shot a little bit short. Tolliver may have gotten a piece of it.
I think you're right. Tolliver trailing the play and was able to use his size to affect the shot. Creighton up the floor quickly.
Dotzler will get it in his hands and set up the offense. Tolliver, he's had a good start to this ball game. Now Jeff Day. Day on the drive, blocked by Wilkinson. Gets it back. Lost it again. Here's Porter, and he lays it in. Boy, Wilkinson's playing strong inside, but the Jays are fighting hard.
Give the Blue Jays credit for continuing to battle on the loose ball there. Day blocked twice. Porter finds himself in the lane with the open shot after collecting the second rebound and gives the Jays a 4-point lead.
Marcus Walker. Nebraska fans are going to like this backcourt between White and Walker over the next 4 years. Shot blocked, though, by Nick Porter as White tried the pull-up. And Porter right there. Defensive effort has been the story of this first half. Creighton leading Nebraska 10-6. NET Sports coverage of NCAA men's basketball is brought to you in part by the Greater Omaha Chamber of Commerce, where imagination meets opportunity. West Center Omaha filled up today with a lot of Creighton fans, Nebraska fans in as well, and they've seen a defensive first half. It's really limited the shot percentage. Nebraska, Scott, and Creighton, neither one shooting real well from the floor.
Creighton, 3 of 18, so 1 out of 6, 17%. Nebraska, 2 of 11, a little bit better percentage, about 21 or 22%. But nonetheless, a defensive struggle to this point. Nebraska really hurting itself with the 6 turnovers. Creighton has just 1. Nebraska's size playing a role inside with 5 blocks already, and at least 3 of those go to Wilkinson. But again, Creighton has the advantage now because the pace of play has dominantly been in their favor.
Marcus Walker will inbound. Joe McCray fires up the quick three. Cannot connect, and the rebound to Dominic Bishop out long. Bishop, a youngster, junior college transfer, still new in this system, playing a lot more than Creighton may have originally envisioned at this point. Tolliver will fire up the three. Left it a little strong, and Walker the rebound. Lob inside and out of bounds off of Wilkinson's hand. It'll belong to Creighton, and Nebraska trying to force it a little bit, turns it over again.
And the Blue Jays may have gotten away with a foul there. It looked like Tolliver had been over the back of Wilkinson on that pass toward the inside. Tolliver with the three-point attempt. He took a shot late in the game at Chattanooga on Tuesday. Probably not the shot you're looking for even in that instance when there were about 15 seconds left on the shot clock. But again, newcomers on the floor and vets trying to take over and play a role that they haven't done before. And Creighton still trying to find itself.
Creighton trying to find something here. Huskers with a good start defensively on this possession. Tolliver facing against Wilkinson. Trying to drive on Wilkinson, and it will not roll down. Loose ball picked up by Wes Wilkinson. Boy, is he playing strong inside early.
He really hasn't had many touches on the offensive end, and it seems like Nebraska would want to work the ball through his hands each time down the floor.
Another turnover, not a good turnover there by Nebraska. Dotzler, the ball in his hands, looks much more experienced than his true freshman class would indicate. Dotzler again at the top, matched up with McCray. Dotzler on the penetration. Kick out, jumper, no good, and the rebound over to Marcus Walker. Good job sealing out inside by Nebraska. Walker on the other end, a quick three. In and out, Day the rebound. Bishop, coast to coast, a little bit out of control, but he gets the foul. And it'll go the other way against Bishop. A lot out of control according to the officials, and Bishop picks up his first personal. Earlier today we checked in with Dana Altman, also found out his keys to beating Nebraska.
Well, we can't give them easy baskets. They're going to score enough on their own. We can't give them any easy ones. Rebounding will be a big factor. And then our new guys handling the basketball. We had a lot of turnovers last couple games, and we've got to do a much better job of handling the ball.
At this
Scott, just 2 turnovers.
And the second one, the charge play from Bishop. Bishop has shown a tendency early in the season to play a little bit out of control with the ball on the dribble. At times, just simply taking it too deep in Nebraska's defense set up for him.
Huskers just 6 points in the first 11 minutes. White will try to change it as he feeds DeRusso, playing with 2 fouls. White, long jumper with 2 on the shot clock, no good, and a foul coming over the back. Alex Marich picks up his second personal, so DeRusso and Marich both in foul trouble early.
Has been a pretty clean game in Nebraska with the misfortune of those 2 players now with 2 fouls each. Wilkinson on the bench getting a little breather here prior to the 3rd official timeout of the first half, but again, Wilkinson and DeRusso, Nebraska's 2 top offensive players thus far in 7 games, have not seen the ball a whole lot today.
Porter, long jumper, and it rattles home. Somehow Porter got that shot to go down. Walker, trapped near half court. DeRusso brings it across.
Nebraska's freshman backcourt in play here, and the Blue Jays try to run the trap out of their full court zone defense.
Huskers have been a little stagnant today in the half court. See if Walker can change that. He can create. Inside, another turnover thrown right into the hands of Dane Watts. Tolliver leading the field with a one-handed stuff.
Creighton doesn't want to run up and down the floor, but they're going to take advantage of opportunities. Great hustle by Tolliver, and is rewarded with the slam.
White for a 3. No good. Rebound by Porter. Creighton leading 14-6 with the ball. Porter on the drive, will not go. And a rebound to Marich. Huskers have got to find some offense here. B.J. Walker facing against Watts, got him in the air. And Tolliver throws it out of bounds again. What a first half for Creighton defensively. And Anthony Tolliver leading the way, much to the delight of the majority of this Quest Center crowd. Nebraska trails Creighton 14-6, and the block again.
Great help by Tolliver, great anticipation. Walker or White coming up from the baseline, and Tolliver leads his man and is able to knock the ball out of bounds. Nebraska's struggles continue on the offensive end.
NET Sports coverage of NCAA men's basketball is brought to you in part by U.S. Bank, providing businesses and consumers with a wide array of financial products and services, backed by a 5-star service guarantee. U.S. Bank, member FDIC. By Blue Cross Blue Shield of Nebraska. The Blues are good for you. By Quest Center Omaha, presenting Mannheim Steamroller December 26th. Information at www.questcenteromaha.com. By Nelnet, making educational dreams possible. And by the University of Nebraska, serving Nebraska's 93 counties with campuses in Kearney, Omaha, and Lincoln. The University of Nebraska, pioneering new frontiers. Be with us on NET for the next Big Red Wrap-Up as we recap Nebraska's battle with the Michigan Wolverines in the 2005 Alamo Bowl in San Antonio. Join me, Adrian Fiala, and HuskersIllustrated.com Sean Callahan, Tuesday, January 10th, live at 7 Central for Big Red Wrap-Up right here on NET, Nebraska's home for sports. Kevin Kugler along with Scott Shoemaker at the Quest Center in Omaha. And Scott, we talked about it on the first time out, that it couldn't be a better start for Creighton. It couldn't be a better first half for the Jays, considering they're shooting 21% from the field, and they're leading by 8 points.
It's difficult to imagine any scenario where a team would come out and shoot 5 of 24 from the field and lead by 8 after the third time out. But Nebraska has created greatly to that opportunity. 9 turnovers, again, 7 or 8 of those at least unforced, just bad decisions on the part of the Huskers, or not being able to simply catch a pass from a teammate, shooting 2 of 16 from the field. So 16 shot attempts, 9 turnovers. 2 of 16 and 9 turnovers adds up to 6 points in 14 minutes.
Nebraska winning the battle on the boards 18-16 here with 7:26 remaining, but trailing 14-6. Long inbound to Walker. Richardson back into the lineup. He'll try to settle things down. Get the veteran hand in there, the junior out of Maywood, Illinois. High school teammates with Shannon Brown of Michigan State. DeRusso on the drive. He got bodied by Tolliver. And that'll send DeRusso to the line. Anthony Tolliver picks up his second personal foul. And that's one thing that Creighton can't have today, Scott. They cannot get guys in foul trouble.
We haven't spent much time talking about Jimmy Moats, the senior from Lincoln, who was on the bench in street clothes for Creighton today. He suffered or realized Friday in practice that he has a stress fracture. He would be the 4th man in the Creighton big man rotation, but today it's limited to Watts, Tolliver, and Day. And as you say, very crucial for the big man for Creighton to stay out of foul trouble. Jason
DeRusso, a career 53% free throw shooter, a little better this year at 58%. Misses the first, misses the second. Big rebound by Marich, and Tolliver, another block. With 2 fouls, an aggressive move by Tolliver to get the block.
Great anticipation once again. You would expect Marich maybe to go up with the left hand from the inside the lane. Tolliver is able to come over from the weak side and knock it away and continue to prolong Nebraska's struggles offensively.
Dotzler with a steal, the freshman to the other end, and he cannot get the roll. DeRusso the board. DeRusso lobs it out front. Ball kicked around, and DeRusso scoops it back up into the backcourt. Dotzler harassing him.
Dotzler really giving DeRusso troubles. He picked him clean there at the top of the key on the previous possession and almost did it again here this time.
Marich inside DeRusso, cutting baseline. Nice reverse by Jason DeRusso.
Some of the inexperience on the Creighton floor right there. Nensu has responsibility for the baseline, and he let DeRusso get away from him, and DeRusso converts for the easy 2.
Watts looking for the long 3. Mathis inside for the rebound. He wanted a foul, didn't get it, and here come the Huskers on the run. Walker, and Walker carried it. It'll go back the other way to the Jays. Turnover number 11 for Nebraska in this first half.
It's been few and far between where Nebraska's had an opportunity with numbers on a fast break, and Walker decided to take it himself. Anybody who has watched college basketball this year has heard about the emphasis on palming or carrying the ball in mid-dribble. Walker's guilty there for turnover number 11.
Marcus Perry off the Nebraska bench for the first time today. The junior college transfer out of Anniston, Alabama, who redshirted a year ago. Quarter today. Johnny Mathis had a hot start. He's been quiet since the first few minutes. Does have 7 points to lead the Jays. 12 on the shot clock. Day with a high screen. Mathis trying to split the defenders, and he gets the bucket.
It's tough to defend somebody who can create offense off the dribble, and Johnny has been able to do that in his 3 years here in Omaha, but normally that role falls to Nate Funk. But again, with Nate on the bench, the Blue Jays having to take on different responsibilities and more good defense for Creighton.
Well, the Jays are completely frustrating Nebraska right now, holding them to 8 points with 5:23 left in the first half, forcing now 12 Husker turnovers.
And probably overlooked coming into this game is the fact that Nebraska features a lot of inexperience and youth in the backcourt, and so far they have not been able to handle this road atmosphere.
Porter, what a left-handed drive by Nick Porter, and the Jays have opened up a 10-point lead.
Nice move by Porter, but simply too easy if you're the Nebraska coaching staff and Barry Collier. Somebody has to rotate over and stop the drive penetration.
Huskers with 2 point-blank opportunities, and they miss fire. Day, long two, no good. Charles Richardson, the smallest man on the floor, gets the rebound. He's listed at 5'9", probably not quite that tall, and an air ball from McCray as he fires the quick three, and that's been the story of the year for Joe McCray. He's really struggled.
He had a nice game off the bench against South Dakota State on Thursday with 12 points and back in the starting lineup tonight, but so far 0 for 3 from the field, all of those attempts behind the arc.
18-8, Creighton leading Nebraska. Johnny Mathis fires another three. That one left short, and the rebound in the corner to Mathis, and he takes the timeout. Johnny Mathis able to track down the rebound, calls the timeout to save the possession, and everything going the Jays' way. Offensive struggles aside, in this first half, they lead it by 10.
Well, you have to continue to look at Nebraska's offensive struggles. At 3 for 21 from the field, just 1 of 7, 14%, and again the 12 turnovers. It makes it obviously very difficult to score when you lose the ball either in the half court or in backcourt. And Nebraska's opportunities have been limited, and when they've had them, they haven't been able to convert.
So we've talked a lot about some of the newcomers that Barry Collier is trying to mesh into this Nebraska lineup, and we talked with Coach Collier earlier about meshing those guys into this Nebraska squad.
Well, I think our real key is to have the returning players that we have back leading those guys. But I think our newcomers have done a lot of good things. They've been picking up the system as we've gone along, and we're getting better. There's still a lot of room for improvement, but I think that their willingness to learn and their desire to play and be a factor is pretty positive for our team.
Creighton will inbound. And triggering long to Johnny Mathis. Jays by 10. Coming up on 4 minutes remaining in the first half. Nebraska with just 8 points in the first half.
Thus far, this is making that 50-48 game in Lincoln a year ago look like an offensive struggle.
Porter back out to Mathis. Jays with 11 to shoot. Mathis trying on the drive. Kicks out to Watts. Creighton with 7 to shoot. Porter will try to make something happen. Porter is fouled. He got past Marcus Perry on the dribble. Perry trying to recover, but he commits the foul.
Prior to that, Mathis had gotten by Wilkinson, but not enough height to overcome Wilkinson's ability to recover.
3:39 remaining in the first half. It's Creighton 18 and Nebraska 8. I would imagine that's a pretty happy campus right now, the Creighton University campus, and their Blue Jays leading inside the Quest Center against the University of Nebraska by 10, 18-8. Kevin Kugler along with Scott Shoemaker, and Scott, the numbers are not pretty, but for Creighton fans, the scoreboard is pretty as Nebraska trails the Jays by 10.
I'm sure many people walked into the arena today not knowing that Jimmy Moats wasn't going to be available, and even with Jimmy on the floor, Creighton had just 9 scholarship players Tuesday in the loss at Chattanooga. So a lot of hope as folks walked into the arena today, but not really sure of what to expect. On the other hand, Nebraska has a lot of hope as well, but also because of the newness of the backcourt, primarily those 3 freshmen in their first road game in their college career, a lot of questions there as well.
Nebraska 3 for 21 from the floor. That's 14%. Wilkinson, Marcus Walker each with a 3. DeRusso with a 2. That's the bulk. That's all the scoring for the Jays as Porter hits the first free throw. And Nick Porter has had a very good first half. He has 7 points.
He really made a nice effort offensively Tuesday night in the loss at Chattanooga with 11 points in his first start. But he also committed 5 turnovers. So the positive was outweighed by those turnovers. But so far today playing under more control and now up to 8 points. So second on the team behind Mathis. Great scoring from the Creighton backcourt right now.
Maric back out to Richardson as Nebraska will try to set up in the half court. They have struggled in this half court game today. Wilkinson got free in the corner, and that's a huge 3 for Nebraska. They had to have something to feel a little better, and Wilkinson provided it.
Only the 3rd try from the field for Wilkinson today. 2 of 3 now, both 2 of 2 from behind the arc. He and DeRusso, when Jason gets back out on the floor, simply need to get more touches for Nebraska.
Dotzler back out to Mathis. Creighton leads by 9. Day on the drive against Maric. He's got 2 fouls. Blocked shot. Day will take it back up. Blocked again. Back up for a 3rd time. And the 3rd time's the charm for Jeff Day.
It's been a game of persistence for Creighton so far. 7 blocked shots for the Huskers already here in the first half. But Day simply battling, gets the ball back, goes up again, blocked again, gets the ball back one more time, and is able to convert on his 3rd try.
And the ball out of bounds to Creighton. Turnover number 13 for Nebraska in this first half.
Nice on-ball defense for Creighton. Perry trying to work the ball inside to Maric, and the Blue Jays knock it away off Maric's leg. Create another turnover.
Josh Dotzler will walk it up for Creighton. See the turnover numbers, 13-2. Nebraska probably fortunate to only be down 11 with those kind of turnover numbers. Dotzler on the drive against Walker. Porter traveled with it. Thought about the 3 and then changed his mind, but it was too late. He was in the air, and there's turnover number 3 against the Jays.
He had the right idea. He was ready to make the catch and be a threat to shoot when he caught the ball. Dotzler took the ball underneath the basket and made the nice kick out to the corner. But McCray reacted better than Porter anticipated, so he was kind of up there with nowhere to go. And only the 3rd Creighton turnover of the day.
You saw as he left the floor, Dana Altman saying, pass it out when you get in that situation. McCray, great pass inside to B.J. Walker, cannot finish. Tough rebound again by Wilkinson. He cannot get the bucket. And a foul is going to be called inside. Strong inside play there for both B.J. Walker and Wes Wilkinson.
That's a lot of size and a lot of height for Creighton to contend with. Wilkinson, you can see a little bit of frustration on his face. 9 rebounds now, 3 shot attempts, and there Walker gets a nice pass from McCray. He can't convert, and Day is forced to foul to keep Wilkinson from scoring the easy 2.
Wilkinson misses the jumper off the inbound. The Jays run it back up the floor. Creighton leading 22-11. Waning moments of this first half. Mathis pulls up for the 3. Oh, and he hits it again. Johnny Mathis with 12 first half points.
Marcus Walker not sure what he needs to do there. He wants to go out on Mathis, but Mathis is quick enough to get by him, so he gives him a little bit of room, and Mathis converts his 3rd 3. And then on the other side, Walker commits turnover number 14 for the Huskers with a travel as he gets across half court.
25-11, Creighton with 1:23 remaining in the first half. And the shorthanded Jays controlling this ball game in Omaha. Mathis against Jamel White. Back out to Dotzler, open 3, it's good! First time today we've seen Dotzler hit, and the Jays lead by 17.
Absolutely unbelievable, Kevin, what we're seeing right now.
Another turnover, and he walked with it, and it's going back the other way. Most of the crowd in the Quest Center doesn't realize that it was a turnover.
Great anticipation by Jeffrey Day in the back of the zone pressure defense there. He makes the steal near half court, and he saw a wide open opportunity for a tomahawk jam, but he walked on the way there, giving the ball back to the Huskers.
On the drive, Day with the body. Under a minute to play, Dotzler. Back out to Watts. Bishop for three. Everybody feeling it for Creighton. The Jays lead by 20, and a timeout, Nebraska. Dana Altman and Creighton fired up, and why not? 8 scholarship players available today. Jimmy Moats out with a stress fracture. Nate Funk may be out for the year, their preseason All-American. And they're still able to do things like we've seen all first half, play great defense and hit the three.
Not in Dana Altman's wildest dreams last night did he envision a scenario that gave them a 20-point lead at the halftime. Creighton taking advantage of three-point opportunities. Once again, penetration, gets the ball back and kick the ball back out to the perimeter with Bishop. Bishop has not played a whole lot in his Creighton career, just a 6th career game, but he showed a little ability to shoot, and he converts there for the 3rd straight three for the Blue Jays, taking their lead from 11 all the way out to 20.
Creighton now shooting 29% from the floor. Nebraska at 15%, just 4 of 26 in the first half. There are the three-point numbers, and another steal. Porter cannot get the layup, and a whistle and a foul inside against Dominic Bishop for the Jays. Porter looked like Scotty couldn't decide whether to try to dunk it or try to lay it up, and as it turns out, he didn't either.
He heard footsteps, so after making a great defensive play, you can see the uncertainty in the Nebraska backcourt. The two freshmen, White and Walker, simply trying to make a pass there. Porter shows anticipation, but simply doesn't convert on the offensive end.
Huskers will hold for the last shot of what's been a miserable first half for Nebraska. Richardson. There's McCray with 8 seconds. McCray took an extra step. Another Nebraska turnover. That's 17 in the first half. Josh Dotzler back in. Jeff Day will leave. And Creighton now will get the last opportunity with 4 seconds to go. Mathis fouled by White. Team foul number 7, and so Creighton will get the 1-and-1 with 2 seconds left in the first half.
Kind of a fitting way to end the first half for the Huskers. 4 seconds plus left for Creighton to go the entire length of the court. Mathis going to try to find his way to the top of the key area. White making the freshman decision to try and cut him off, gets called for the foul and gives Creighton a chance for 2 more.
First foul on White. Mathis, first free throw, no good, misses the front end. McCray will heave it up to no avail, and halftime is here. The first half couldn't have gone any better for the home-standing Creighton Blue Jays as Dana Altman's troops leave the floor with a 20-point lead, 31-11. Creighton out in front of Nebraska. NET Sports coverage of NCAA men's basketball is brought to you in part by U.S. Bank, providing businesses and consumers with a wide array of financial products and services backed by a 5-star service guarantee. U.S. Bank, member FDIC. By Blue Cross Blue Shield of Nebraska. The Blues are good for you. By Quest Center Omaha, presenting Mannheim Steamroller December 26th. Information at www.questcenteromaha.com. By Nelnet, making educational dreams possible. And by the University of Nebraska, serving Nebraska's 93 counties with campuses in Kearney, Omaha, and Lincoln. The University of Nebraska, pioneering new frontiers. If you're just joining us at the Quest Center in Omaha, that score may startle you. Creighton leads Nebraska at halftime, 31-11. The Jays have done a lot of things right, and the Huskers have done a lot of things wrong. Second half coming up in just a bit from the Quest Center in Omaha. A familiar face to Husker fans, Jake Muehlheisen was a 4-year starter at Nebraska, but today he's playing a new role on the court at Creighton. Jake's continuing his education at Creighton in finance, and he's the new graduate manager for the Blue Jay basketball team. For Jake Muehlheisen, the Creighton-Nebraska rivalry has a whole new meaning.
The proudest moments has to be probably the first time I ran out of the tunnel. You know, I always wanted to go to Nebraska. I had that dream fulfilled, and then going to the NIT, getting some postseason play, and just being with teammates and building bonds with teammates. Probably the best memories I have in Nebraska. I got a piece of Nate Funk's shot, and I gave him a hard time about that, but it was a good game. We ended up pulling it out at the end, and that was a fun moment for us. Basically, the exact opposite happened. It was a kind of a slower game, and not a whole lot of points scored. And Kellen Milner hit a shot, actually over me, to win by 2. It was definitely weird putting that Blue Jay shirt on, and Blue Jay shorts on for the first time. I felt a little awkward, but it's been good so far. I've been learning a lot, and hopefully I continue to learn and just become a better coach. I'm doing a lot of different jobs. I'm the head film guy. I'm gonna help out with practice and getting guys ready to go and help with equipment a little bit. And I'm just kind of all over the place, helping out wherever I can. It helped me out a lot. Coach Collier and Coach Altman are pretty similar. They both treat their players with a lot of respect, and they both get their guys motivated to play. Coach Altman, the same way. He's been helping me out and just trying to teach me, how to become a better coach and just learning a new system has helped me out a lot too, just to expand my basketball knowledge. It's going to be really weird on Sunday for me, and I'm still a Husker. I still root for him a ton, and I still love all those guys down there, and it'll be weird cheering against them for the first time ever. It's an exciting game. The fans always support each team, and the arena is usually packed. And from a player standpoint, it's just exciting to play in. Extremely loud. Both teams get up for it. It's just a ton of fun. But as the importance of the game from a player, it's just it's kind of just a pride thing. Being the best team in the state and things like that. And it's just an incredibly fun game to play in. I wish I was playing again this year.
Jake Muehlheisen right now, for perhaps only the second time in his career in this rivalry, on the winning end of this rivalry as he sits in the Creighton locker room, and the Jays enjoying a 20-point lead. 31-11, Creighton leads Nebraska. We'll return to Quest Center Omaha in a moment on NET Sports. NET Sports coverage of NCAA men's basketball is brought to you in part by the Omaha Children's Museum, now featuring Grossology, the impolite science of the human body, on display through January 8th. Kevin Kugler and Scott Shoemaker back with you from the Quest Center in Omaha. And Scott, I don't know if anybody anticipated this. Creighton with only 8 scholarship players. Nebraska coming in at 6-1. Creighton still trying to find a little something. They may have found it in this first half, leading by 20.
It's absolutely incredible that we're sitting here with one team ahead by 20 points, and that it's the Creighton Blue Jays. The fear going into the game, is that Creighton simply wouldn't be able to match up with Nebraska's athleticism, and the Huskers might come in and roll the Blue Jays out. But instead, Nebraska 4 of 26 from the floor, 17 first-half turnovers, and that leads to a 20-point Creighton Blue Jay lead at the half.
Well, let's take a look at some of the highlights from the first half, and I think what you'll see is, you'll see a lot of Johnny Mathis early, as Mathis led the Jays with 12 points, but room inside for Nick Porter on a nice drive, Scott. And then tenacity shown inside by Jeff Day.
It was a great sequence for Jeff Day and the Blue Jays. 3 times he has to throw it up there and try to score over Marich, and the 3rd time is successful.
Josh Dotzler with the 3, and then good interior defense. Tolliver has had a terrific first half for Creighton.
7 blocks for the Huskers inside. We knew that would happen, but Creighton was 6 of its own, including 4 for Tolliver. Great help there on the play against B.J. Walker that we saw.
And Dominic Bishop, just his second made 3 of the year, capped the scoring for Creighton in that first half. 31-11, the Jays with a 20-point lead at halftime. Let's look at your stats from the first half, and you see the numbers pretty ugly for both teams shooting percentage-wise. Not a lot of activity at the foul line for either team, but Creighton with a 20-point lead.
As much of a surprise as it is for Nebraska to be 4 of 26 with 17 turnovers, the fact that Creighton has attempted 39 shots is also a big surprise. Much of that, the fact that they have 10 offensive rebounds, so they've done a good job of going after missed shots. Shooting only 28%, never do you believe that you're going to be leading by 20 when you shoot that percentage. Turnovers, though, again, the big factor. 17 turnovers. Early on, I thought it was a case of nerves for Nebraska. A little bit uncertain in its half-court offense. Late in the half, Creighton started to run more of its 1-2-2 half-court trapping zone press, and the Nebraska freshman backcourt simply couldn't handle it.
31-11, Creighton leads Nebraska. Second half action from the Quest Center Omaha coming up in a moment on NET Sports. Well, beautiful campus shots all day long of Creighton University here in the great city of Omaha, Nebraska. And inside has become a real jewel for athletics this weekend, certainly in Omaha, the Quest Center. And Nebraska has some work to do in this second half, trailing 31-11 as we get set to start the second half here in Omaha. Do you have kids? Do you want them to go to college? Do you know what the average cost of attending a public university is? On December 15th, call in your questions to financial aid experts and see how you can make college affordable. Watch Countdown to College, Thursday, December 15th at 7 Central Time, only on NET1. And a look at Barry Collier, who certainly has some work for his team to do in this second half. If you're Coach Collier, Scott, what do you say to your kids in the locker room to kind of get them back on track here in this second half?
Well, that's a tough chore. No doubt you don't have a speech prepared for a game in which you're going to be trailing by 20 at halftime. I think he's looking at his backcourt and trying to get them to settle down and maybe, and they strategize, I'm sure, about how to handle the 1-2-2 half-court press that Creighton is putting on. Once you get past that pressure and you play half-court offense, you have to have two focuses, I think. Wes Wilkinson is a guy who creates or does not create shots for himself very often, so he needs to be found more open off of screens and off of picks. And if you're Nebraska, you also get the ball into the hands of Jason DeRusso, your best creator with the ball. He needs to get the ball in his hands more often in the second half.
Well, and on the other side of the coin, I don't know that Dana Altman had a speech prepared expecting to be up by 20 at halftime, but I'm sure the Jays' 12th year head coach is thrilled with the effort and the defensive play of his team. Now the trick is get that to continue for 20 more minutes.
Well, coaches don't think this way, but I'm sure in the back of his mind, now the thought is, okay, we're up by 20. How do we protect this? As you say, you don't prepare for a 20-point lead as well. Really, I don't know that they have much to change. The half-court press created opportunities late in the first half, so I'm sure we're going to continue to see much more of that. Creighton only shot 28% from the floor itself, so 11 of 39. Maybe a little better shot opportunity or shot selection on the offensive end, but if you're Creighton, it's more of the same that we saw in the first half.
Well, the Jays and the Huskers with 1 half of basketball remaining. And much of this crowd, a Creighton crowd. It is predominantly Creighton today, although there are a good contingent of Nebraska fans in and around the arena. And they're pretty happy right now, those Jay fans. They're the scoring leaders. Wes Wilkinson, just 6 points. He does have 10 rebounds today. Marcus Walker with 3 points. And for Creighton, Johnny Mathis, not a surprise. May surprise some of you to see Nick Porter in there. That's what Creighton needed, somebody to step up and fill the void that Nate Funk, Jimmy Motes, and to a lesser extent Pierce Hibba would have supplied if they were healthy.
In large part, he's the man who's in the lineup because of Nate Funk's absence. He got the start Tuesday at Chattanooga. It likely would have been Pierce Hibba, who we haven't spoken much about. He's out with a bad knee, so it falls on Porter's shoulder to replace the scoring load. In the first half, he did that.
And the very first possession of the second half is a Nebraska turnover, number 18 of the day, and the Jays will have it here just underway, second half at the Quest Center. Dotzler.
Have to wonder at what point Nebraska will start to try to apply some of its own defensive pressure. You need to be able to create additional scoring opportunities than you might otherwise get. So at some point, I'm sure we'll see some of that also.
Jays with 24 on the shot clock will inbound. Dotzler in long to Johnny Mathis. Creighton leading by 20, 31-11. Nick Porter over to Dane Watts. Watts has been quiet, but no points.
Excuse me, Kevin, a little bit of uncertainty in the Creighton's players' faces facing the zone as Nebraska went zone on the inbounds play. And not a good shot in that possession.
Richardson on the move. He is quick as a hiccup as he gets down to the baseline. Nowhere to go with it, though. McCray bounces it over to Richardson. Inside, ball knocked away. Mathis diving into the bench, gets the steal. No look to Watts for 3. Little strong. Dane Watts 0 for 4 from the floor today. Richardson again trying to create, and Charles Richardson, maybe he can provide that Nebraska offensive spark. It's his first 2.
He may have gotten a little bit extra of that halftime talk to take it upon himself and put it on his shoulders to get the Huskers into their offensive sets. But the first 2 times down in the second half, he has gone strong to the goal.
Mathis going strong to the goal on the other end against Wes Wilkinson. That's a tough drive.
Mathis is really playing an inspired game right now. One of the seniors, he's expected to take up some of the scoring load, but beyond that, it's the emotional absence of Nate Funk that is difficult to replace also, and Mathis is filling that role right now.
Jason DeRusso. Huskers would love to see him get going. Just 2 first-half points. Marich inside, held by Dane Watts. Another guy the Huskers would love to see into the scoring column is Alex Marich. Haven't talked much about the 6'11 sophomore out of Sydney, Australia, because he's not done much. No points, just 3 rebounds.
He probably didn't have more than 2 or 3 touches in the first half, other than on rebounds. In that sequence, he simply got Watts pinned underneath the basket, and Nebraska was able to make the entry pass, and Watts had to foul to prevent the bucket.
DeRusso hop step into the paint, left it short. McCray there to pick it up, and the foul. Joe McCray inside gets the rebound, and he'll go to the line for a chance at a 3-point play. And for McCray, his first 2 points of the afternoon.
It may be what it takes for McCray to get going. 0 for 3 in the first half from behind the arc. DeRusso trying to create something in the lane, and McCray with the decided advantage over Mathis in size and bulk, and he simply overpowered Mathis for the offensive rebound.
McCray with a flat free throw opportunity. Wilkinson the rebound. McCray wide open 3. Cannot connect, but there's DeRusso with the tip in. Dotzler fouled by DeRusso coming across the timeline. That's number 3 on Jason DeRusso. Watch the tip again. Nebraska working hard inside, Scott.
And on consecutive sequences, offensive rebounds for the Huskers. DeRusso wide open there. Creighton did not get a body on him at all, and he has the wide open tip for the Huskers' second bucket of the second half.
Coach Altman not happy with that last defensive possession. McCray had a wide open look, and then opportunities on the inside for Nebraska off the miss. Creighton leading 33-17. On the drive, Watts is fouled. A little bit of a hand check. Wilkinson's first personal foul.
Nebraska foul on number 11,
and the Jays will inbound underneath the basket. Dotzler into Watts, takes it up, can't get the roll. Watts has it taken away by Charles Richardson, then he double dribble. Boy, good play by Richardson in amongst the trees, but couldn't get out of there without the double dribble.
Huskers just can't stand prosperity right now. Watts misses the bunny up over Marich, and Richardson gets the rebound after stripping Watts, and he gets called for the double dribble after picking up the ball during the steal attempt.
33-17, Creighton leading. Watts, they're trying to get him more involved in this second half. The running left-hander falls, and the first 2 for Dane Watts. And they're going to get a foul called inside on Alex Marich. Marich commits the shove, and Watts is going to have a chance to get something going again. The foul on Marich, and
they're going to call that after the possession, after the shot actually on the way down the floor. Marich with a shove for Watts, so Creighton's going to retain possession.
See if we can see it here. The bucket falls, and then a little bit of a forearm there by Alex Marich. So the Jays get another possession, leading by 18. If you're Nebraska, you cannot give away free possessions in this second half. You need every one. Mathis gets clear for a 3, and he hits it again. 21-point lead, the biggest of the day for Creighton.
Nice 2-man game from Creighton over in front of the bench. Tolliver with a nice screen against Richardson. Mathis finds himself wide open for the 3, and he converts for 3, number 4 on the day.
Strongest move of the day by Marich, but he cannot connect on the bucket. Tolliver fights off the rebound. Porter splitting the defenders. DeRusso got a hand on it, and then it's thrown away by Marich. Dotzler tipped by Porter and knocked out of bounds by Marich. It'll be Creighton ball with 16:35 to play.
And that's enough to get Dana Altman's attention. He's going to throw Dominic Bishop into the lineup for Porter. The last thing that Creighton wants to do is get a little bit sloppy and lazy with the possessions and not take care of the basketball. So A change on the floor for the Blue Jay lineup. Once again, Nebraska struggling to hang on to the ball. Already 5 turnovers inside the first 3.5 minutes of the second half.
Richardson and Marich leave as Nebraska goes small, bringing in White and Walker. So White, Walker, DeRusso, McCray, and Wilkinson on the inside. And oh my, what a strong move from Dane Watts. DeRusso had a hold of that ball and he still put it in.
Dane Watts has been open 3 times on that inbounds play in the second half. Nebraska will have to find an answer, but a strong finish by Watts.
In the corner, the 3 for White, no good. Tip try, no good by DeRusso. He's much more active in this second half, but couldn't get the roll there on the tip.
More emotion, more action from Nebraska in the second half, but thus far it's not resulting in improved results on the scoreboard.
Jays enjoying their biggest lead of the day at 23. Watts facing Wilkinson.
Mismatch underneath with Day, guarded by Marcus Walker. Blue Jays not able to get the ball to him.
10 to shoot. Mathis wants to clear out that right side. One-on-one against McCray. Now the lob to Day. 3 to shoot. Dotzler's 3. No good. Rebound kicked over to Watts. Dane Watts inside and he's fouled. And tempers starting to flare a little bit. Some frustration by the Huskers.
Saw it exhibited by March earlier in the half on a play down here underneath the Nebraska offensive end. Then a little shove on the basket by Watts earlier. There, McCray and Wilkinson showing some emotion. But the Blue Jays fighting hard, lead by 23.
Timeout on the floor, and it's all Creighton in this in-state rivalry. The Jays rolling at home. The Quest Center in Omaha, Creighton leading 40-17. The Jays enjoying their biggest lead and paced by 17 points from Creighton senior Johnny Mathis. And a little more info on the senior from Louisville, Kentucky. As you look at his ability to slice, his ability to shoot from long range, Johnny Mathis has done it all today for Creighton.
Stepping up at the right time for the Blue Jays. Prior to today, his best game of the year was 24 points in the double overtime victory over Dayton. Since then, he had gone 0 for 10 behind the three-point arc, Kevin. So 4 or 5 today thus far behind the arc. Stepping up with one of the best games in his career as a Creighton Blue Jay.
Well, and we knew this would be a big day, and it is indeed. 15,621. It's the largest basketball crowd ever in the state of Nebraska, breaking the record in 2003 for these 2 teams here in the Quest Center.
Great anticipation for the Creighton Blue Jays prior to the start of the year with the return of 4 starters and 7 letter winners. And today's crowd, the result of that anticipation.
A nice block inside by Wes Wilkinson. He's played a good defensive game for Nebraska. Now the Huskers on the move with Jamel White. And a foul is called inside. A little bit of a push called against the Jays, Dominic Bishop. That's his 3rd personal foul and the 3rd team foul on the Jays. Jamel White gets to the line. First time today. He's a 79% free throw shooter.
At the very least, Nebraska is showing more decisiveness with its backcourt as far as taking the ball to the rim. Whether that results in more points, we'll find out as the rest of the second half unfolds, but more decisive and more activity out of the Nebraska backcourt than we saw in the first half.
Jamel White, who's had such a good run to start this season as a freshman, 18 assists, 3 turnovers in his past 6 games, but he misses both free throw attempts to continue the Huskers' woes offensively. 40-17, Creighton leading over Nebraska. Mathis on the drive against White. A little bit of a block by Wilkinson again. Wes Wilkinson continuing that strong defensive play. Marcus Walker sets up for the 3. It will not go down. DeRusso inside, blocked by Day. Walker, great hands. The turnaround won't go. And a foul crashing in. Wes Wilkinson picks up the personal foul. Jason DeRusso rather gets the foul. And that is his 4th personal foul.
That's a big blow for the Huskers. He has been the most active on the offensive glass for Nebraska in the first 5 minutes of the second half. Only 8 offensive rebounds for Nebraska in the first half, and at least that many here in the second half. But the Huskers not able to convert. DeRusso going after the ball, picks up foul number 4. So they're going to have to make the comeback with their second leading scorer on the bench.
Creighton leading 40-17, 14:35 to play. Johnny Mathis. Dane Watts on the drive. He'll back it out. Nensu, open three. Little strong when a whistle away from the basketball underneath. And it looks like Jeff Day, the one who got the whistle. That's his second personal foul. Walker will bring it up for Nebraska. In the freshman in the backcourt, Creighton has shown more of a tendency to press and trap with the youngsters in there for the Huskers. Tip and another turnover, number 23 against Nebraska today.
Nice recognition by Watts. Walker attempting to make the cross-court pass, and Watts simply stepped into the passing lane.
Nensu against Wilkinson. Not a matchup that favors Creighton on the perimeter, so Watts will go to work on the other side. Nensu thinking about the shot. Now the drive, no good. Wilkinson the rebound, number 13 for West today.
A little stagnant on the offensive end for Creighton.
McCray the pull-up. He was off balance from the beginning, but it made up his mind to take that shot. Mathis backs it out. Nensu open three. That won't go. There's McCray with the board. And he throws it away. Mathis, great anticipation, gets the steal. Mathis to the other end of the floor. The shot no good, but a foul is called on Jamel White.
Nebraska foul number 31, Jamel White, his second personal. The team's
Sixth team foul already against the Huskers, with 13:15 remaining in the half. Every foul from now on sends Creighton to the line.
You just keep shaking your head, Kevin, at what can go wrong and what is going wrong for the Huskers. They're shooting a little bit better here in the second half, but they've got 7 turnovers already in the first almost 7 minutes. 6 fouls now, so the Blue Jays will be shooting free throws for the rest of the way. You just have to wonder about the decisions that are being made, specifically the last 2 trips down the floor. Joe McCray making errant passes and bad decisions to even attempt those passes, and Creighton simply taking advantage.
And Jamel White's foul, you saw him come straight down on the chop, and that's going to get the whistle 9 times out of 10 as Mathis connects on both free throws. And Creighton enjoying a 25-point lead, 42-17. Jamel White to Wilkinson. He'll fire the three. It's no good. Dotzler the rebound for Creighton. One and done again for Nebraska. And a whistle inside. The push is going to be called. Jamel White can't believe it. It's his third. And that'll send the Jays to the line. 1-1 in effect.
Better offense for Nebraska on its last possession with the kick out to Wilkinson. He's not going to hit every one of those attempts, but he was open and he was set. So good offense, but not converting. And then White called for the ticky-tack foul underneath the Blue Jays in the 1-1 with 13 minutes left in the second half.
Front end is good from Jeff Day. Day has been very solid at the line, 11 for 14 now for the senior out of Seattle this season. And Day continues his good stroke at the line. And Creighton running and hiding right now, leading by 27 points. Walker on the drive. B.J. Walker with the jumper and the first 2 points of the day for the junior out of Cincinnati. And then the Jays throw it away on the other end. Dotzler threw it a little before Porter was ready for it in the corner.
Dean Altman mentioning and motioning to Josh Dotzler. Josh, calm down, calm down. Yep. 23-point, 25-point lead sounds awfully big, and it is, but at the same time, you can't afford to have possessions where you don't get a chance to even put the ball up at the glass.
White looking inside. McCray fires a guarded three, and he hits it. Joel McCray with his first made three of the day, now 2 for 7 from the floor. And Nebraska within 22 at 44-22. And a timeout taken by the Huskers with 12:25 remaining in this second half. And Nebraska ready to try to make a run. They've got a long hill to climb, though. Scott's still down 22.
They're going to need much more of the good offense that they've shown on their last 3 trips down the floor. 2 possessions where kickouts resulted in a good shot by Wilkinson. And then on the conversion from Walker, that was the result of penetration, dribble penetration into the lane. McCray 0 for 3, 0 for 4 prior, otherwise. Excuse me, 0 for 4 behind the arc prior to that shot. So 3 good offensive possessions in a row for Nebraska. Probably the first time today they've done that. 22 points is a huge hill to climb, but they're on a little bit of a start. So the quick timeout for Nebraska and to get a defense set here. Wouldn't be surprised to see some full court pressure defense for the Huskers after this timeout.
Tonight at 9:30 Central on NET1, see a 1-hour special celebrating the harmonious pop rock group The Mamas and the Papas. This special blends full performance clips, rare home movies, and exclusive interviews. Don't miss California Dreamin', the songs of the Mamas and the Papas, tonight at 9:30 Central Time on NET1. You know, Scott, one of the great things about this series, at least in its history between Barry Collier and Dana Altman, the losses that Barry Collier has suffered, and he's 1-5 against Dana Altman in his coaching career. The losses have all been good games. 11 points, 6 points, 8 points, 7 points, 2 points. The win was a 1-point win in the NIT. These games have always been hotly contested. Not haven't always been the greatest of games, but if this score holds or something similar to this score, it'd be the first blowout in this series for Creighton since Barry Collier took over.
And very atypical of the series. As you mentioned, the victory for Creighton last year in Lincoln, coming on a jumper with under a second to go from Kellen Milner. And the year before that, the 1-point victory for Nebraska here in Omaha. Again, nobody expected a blowout either way today, but if there was going to be a one-sided margin, Nebraska probably would have been the choice for 9 out of 10 people to have been the team with that margin.
44-22, Creighton with the ball. Nebraska showing a little bit of pressure off the timeout. Dotzler able to get past the defenders, and that's nearly taken away. Marcus Walker got a hand on it. The ball loose across the timeline, and Nebraska forces the turnover. Walker open in the corner for 3, and he hits it. Marcus Walker, and Nebraska giving Creighton a little bit of their own medicine with some pressure, forcing the turnover. And a whistle, timeout, taken by the Blue Jays with 11:54 to play in this second half. And Creighton with a 44-25 lead. It's a 30-second timeout for Dana Altman, and Creighton just trying to settle his team down as Nebraska starting to make a run.
Well, we just got through talking about their good offensive possessions. 44-17 was the largest lead for the Blue Jays, so the Huskers have made up 8 points pretty quickly. And after that last three-pointer from McCray, Nebraska did set up in full court pressure. Marcus Walker hounding Dotzler as he came across the half-court line and was persistent, created the turnover. And the Huskers convert on the other end. So a good timeout from Alton from the standpoint of wanting to get his team settled down, get his team prepared for the concept that Nebraska's going to be pressing full court from here on out.
Dana Altman and the Creighton Blue Jays still enjoy a 19-point lead, but Coach Altman knows runs come quickly in basketball. And Nebraska certainly has the weapons to make that run if they can start hitting shots. Huskers up to 24% from the field now on the afternoon.
Haven't seen this zone from Nebraska until this possession, looking to trap on the pass to the wing. Creighton staying out of that position where they get trapped, but also not really making much progress towards the goal.
Porter on the inside. McCray with a nice block, and Joe McCray playing some good defense comes out of there with a basketball. McCray to Walker for 3. No good, but the rebound by B.J. Walker, and he puts it back in. And the Huskers on a nice run, 10-0 run to cut the lead to 17.
Huskers starting to feel a little bit better about themselves. Walker there with easy position for the offensive rebound off the miss from Walker. Takes the run to 10-0 for Nebraska over the last 3 minutes.
Bounces over to Mathis. Johnny Mathis gets open for a 3. It was partially blocked as the good recovery by Nebraska. And one and done for Creighton. And the Creighton offense now stagnant over the last few minutes.
Well, the change to the zone with the trap on the wings has changed what Creighton can do on offense, and they haven't reacted well to that change in defense from the Huskers.
Wes Wilkinson over to McCray. McCray with a long 3, and he hits it again. Joe McCray has hit 2 straight 3s, and Nebraska within 14 at 44-30. And this may be a ball game yet.
Crucial for the Blue Jays to run their offense here and get a good shot attempt. But to this point in this possession, they're still not sure of what they're doing against the zone offense, and confusion reigning on the floor for the Blue Jays right now.
Again, 10 to shoot. Creighton's not had even a good look. Porter with 7 to shoot out to Mathis, trying to drive on McCray, and it's a blocking foul on Joe McCray. Tough call against the Huskers sophomore to get the block there. It's his 3rd.
Looked like it could have gone either way. Kevin McCray moving his feet well to get into position, but the foul call goes against him, so the Blue Jays will be at the line.
Nebraska in the midst of a run to cut the lead from 27 to 14. Still 10:01 to play at the Quest Center in Omaha. Quest Center, Omaha, and the fans who were sitting comfortably in their seats a few moments ago have now moved a little closer to the edge of their seats. Creighton led 1 point, 44 to 17, but Scott Shoemaker, it has become a Nebraska run. We're in the midst of a 13-0 Husker run.
Huskers gaining confidence with each possession. They've increased the pace and the tempo a little bit more to their favor, more to their liking. They've been able to run better offense created by dribble penetration to start with. And since the run started, they have moved to a zone defense, and the Blue Jays have not been able to run good offense against it and really haven't had a good attempt against that zone defense in 3 tries. So another opportunity for Dane Altman on the bench to work on the zone offense. The Blue Jays practiced it extensively this morning in their shoot-around, but that not carrying over into the game. So crucial for the Blue Jays and their fans to get good attempts from this point on.
And not surprising, if you've followed Nebraska basketball the last couple of years, the run has been keyed by a little offensive spark from Joe McCray, who has been missing from the Huskers' offensive attack for most of this year.
He had a nice game, as we mentioned, off the bench against South Dakota State earlier this week with 12 points. Struggled in the first half, 0 for 4 from behind the arc, but hit 2 threes in this 13-0 run. And he's also playing hard on the defensive end as well.
Mathis breaks the run with his first free throw. He gets the second. Creighton by 15 with 10:01 to play. Mathis now 5 of 7 from the line. He has 21 points. Leading all scorers today, Johnny Mathis closing in on his career high. B.J. Walker spinning against Tolliver, and he misses the bunny. Tolliver went down, no whistle, probably a good no call, but Walker can't finish.
With chances for passes available to either McCray or DeRusso on the right side. Nebraska got through the break well and had a 3-on-1 opportunity, and Walker didn't finish when he had open men over on the other side.
Dotzler in the corner. Porter fakes the 3. Mathis has to get the ball back with 8 to shoot. 5 to shoot for Johnny Mathis. Mathis kicks out. Porter with 1 on the shot clock, and he didn't connect with the iron. It's a shot clock violation and a very good defensive possession again for Nebraska. That defense really flustering the Jays. Things have changed dramatically here in the last 4 or 5 minutes. Creighton with 2 points at the free throw line to break that 13-0 run, but still don't have the answer against the 2-1-2 defense of the Huskers. Marcus Walker can provide a lot of scoring punch in a hurry. Now McCray, he's starting to feel it. Can tell every time he gets the ball, looking to shoot. Jamel White on the baseline pull-up. He hits the jumper, and White cuts the lead to 14. Dotzler working the dribble. Creighton led at halftime by 20, 31-11. But the Huskers started to mount a rally here midway through this second half. Mathis, wide open 3. He'll never get a more wide open look than that one. Nice recognition by the Blue Jays. The Huskers guards up top are scrambling and trying to chase the pass, leaving Mathis wide open. He's hit with the pass, and he buries the 3 to take the Blue Jays back up 17. DeRusso, a blocking foul called as he drove and passed out. The foul going on Nick Porter. And that's a fortunate call for DeRusso. He's playing with those 4 fouls. Really putting the onus on the officiating crew today to make the call there, and by forcing the issue and taking the ball into the lane. To his credit, he creates the foul against Porter, so the Huskers will have the ball underneath their own basket. Porter was moving. Pretty good call as Porter picks up his first personal.
And Jeff Christian, please report the guest services immediately. Thank you.
Huskers will inbound with 8:18 to play in this second half. Creighton back out to a 17-point lead after the 3 from Johnny Mathis. Now 24 points for Johnny Mathis, ties his career high.
Again, 5 of 7 now behind the 3-point arc. 0 of 10 from behind that arc in the previous 2 games, both losses for the Blue Jays.
DeRusso nearly has it taken away. Into the corner. Walker blocked by Mathis and out of bounds. Johnny Mathis able to hang in the air with Walker and get the block.
Not sure Walker had that happen to him last year at the high school level in Kansas City, but nice defense for Mathis before the easy 2 for the Huskers after the inbounds play.
Jamel White hits that corner 3. It's a 14-point Creighton lead. 49-35 under 8 minutes to play. Watts bounces to Tolliver. Reverse, trying to get around McCray. Not good. Porter's tip no good. Porter gets it back. The layup no good. And the rebound by B.J. Walker. Boy, a lot of chances for the Jays inside.
A lot of sequence there, but it all started with better offense against the zone. Porter not able to convert after the miss from Tolliver, but good offense by Creighton in that last possession.
Get it in the hands of Dotzler, and Dotzler will calm the offense down for Creighton. Porter with the pass to Tolliver, and he's fouled. Not much else could be done underneath. Tolliver got free on the baseline. And the foul down low on B.J. Walker, and that'll be his first. Timeout on the floor. Creighton with 7:22 to play leads Nebraska 49-35. NET Sports coverage of NCAA men's basketball is brought to you in part by U.S. Bank, providing businesses and consumers with a wide array of financial products and services, backed by a 5-star service guarantee. U.S. Bank, member FDIC. By Blue Cross Blue Shield of Nebraska. The Blues are good for you. By Quest Center Omaha, presenting Mannheim Steamroller December 26th. Information at www.questcenteromaha.com. By Nelnet, making educational dreams possible. And by the University of Nebraska, serving Nebraska's 93 counties with campuses in Kearney, Omaha, and Lincoln. The University of Nebraska, pioneering new frontiers. Kevin Kugler and Scott Shoemaker from the Quest Center Omaha. Creighton leading 49-35. Jays have been a little bit stagnant offensively, but as of late, last couple of possessions got a little bit better on the Jays' end offensively.
It's a game of actions and reactions, and Creighton struggled against this 2-3 zone, but the last 2 trips down the floor have been better. Here we see Nick Porter penetration with the dribble, finding Tolliver, who's moving towards the goal on the baseline. He didn't convert there, but gets fouled, so a chance for 2. But that was two possessions in a row where Creighton got the ball to the middle of the zone. When that happens, the defense has to react. Typically, that's going to leave guys open when that defense reacts to the ball in the lane.
And we've seen about over the last 6 minutes, much better offense on the Nebraska end as well. They've been able to work the 3, get some open looks, and then the good work inside. We've seen the good work on the glass most of the day for Nebraska. It's starting to result in some points.
It really is. Nebraska with those 24 turnovers, so 7 of those early in the second half. They haven't turned it over for 5 or 6 minutes now. And the biggest change is how they've attacked the zone press that Creighton has put on. The freshman guards have decided simply to use their quickness to dribble through the trap at the half court, and that has created opportunities for Nebraska on their offensive end once they get through the press.
Tolliver 1 for 2 at the line today, and he misses the first free throw. Anthony Tolliver just 1 for 7 from the floor. It's not going to show up in his offensive numbers, but he has played a whale of a game, especially in that first half. Tolliver misses. Nope, makes the second one. Rattled around, almost came off. And Creighton leads by 15.
Tolliver really had great energy early in the first half and helped Creighton get out to that lead. 1 of 7 from the floor doesn't reflect the offensive improvement he's been able to make in his junior year.
Marcus Walker with a long, high arcing 3 and a foul inside. Dominic Bishop trying to work for position to get that rebound, and Bishop picks up his 4th personal foul, 16th foul for the Jays.
DeRusso again active on the offensive boards. Bishop not able to get his body on Jason to keep him away from the lane, and he gets called for the foul. Trying to do so.
Wide open off that inbound. Tolliver has the rebound, kick off his foot, and Walker gets the board. Marcus Walker now on the drive to Wilkinson for 3. No, look at B.J. Walker skying high and lays it in. He's an impressive player as he grows up in this Nebraska system. He's going to be one Husker fans will like.
One of 8 newcomers to the program this year, and he was the benefactor from great offensive rebounding once again by Nebraska. 3 tries on that trip down the floor. Finally, they convert on the 3rd and pull back to 13 points.
Wes Wilkinson picks up his second personal foul, and that's not the kind of foul that Barry Collier is going to be happy about. It's the 10th team foul. So the Jays will shoot 2 the rest of the way, and that'll send Dane Watts, who's been struggling to find his stroke today, send him to the line.
Many times it's a chance to go to the free throw line that helps you get the stroke back, especially when you've got 2 shots to make to shoot. You don't have the one-on-one pressure. Nonetheless, Dane needs to just take his time, relax, get into a little bit of a rhythm here, and perhaps sink this free throw and get his mindset better for the final 6.5 minutes of this game.
Watts hits the second, 1 for 2. Dane Watts 5 of 8 at the line this year. 51-37, Blue Jays with the lead. Jason DeRusso has played most of the way in the second half with 4 fouls. Walker, elbow jumper, tough shot to take, and a foul inside. Nope, out of bounds off of Creighton, and it'll belong to Nebraska.
Watts looking as though he had gotten shoved from behind by B.J. Walker prior to grabbing that rebound and simply couldn't collect himself once he got possession.
Out of bounds off of Watts, and so Nebraska gets another life. 6:19 to play, and every possession huge for Nebraska as they try to make their way back from a 27-point second half deficit. Trailing now by 14.
Huskers are still in this game if they continue to rebound offensively, as they've been able to for the most part here in the second half. Creighton really needs to work on keeping them off the glass on the offensive end.
That's a charge on Wilkinson. Lowered the shoulder, his third, and it'll go back to the Jays.
Really has been a frustrating afternoon for Wilkinson there. You see him lower the shoulder 9 times out of 10. That's going to result in the foul call against the offensive player. Wilkinson with 3 fouls now, 13 rebounds, but only 6 points, showing a little bit of that frustration from his inability to get on the board.
Dotzler extended out near the timeline. Nebraska harassing defensively, and there's another foul called. And again, it's Wilkinson. That's 3 fouls in the last 2 minutes for Wes Wilkinson, and 4 now on the day.
More of that frustration showing up there. Was obviously not an attempt to even play the ball. He simply got his feet tangled with Mathis as Mathis dribbled by him. Being in a two-shot free throw situation here down the stretch is really going to be beneficial for the Blue Jays, beyond the 14-point lead, obviously. But they're at the line shooting 2, and Nebraska's going to have to really rebound its tail off on the offensive end to make up 15 points now over the last 6 minutes.
New career high for Johnny Mathis with that made free throw, and he adds to it here. 26 points for Johnny Mathis. As Scott mentioned earlier, 24 in the win over Dayton earlier in the season for Johnny Mathis, and this is exactly what Creighton needed as Jeff Day checks back in. They needed Johnny Mathis, somebody to step up, and you see the foul trouble for Nebraska, a bit of a concern, and we haven't seen Marich much in this second half. DeRusso, Wilkinson, Marich, and White all with some foul trouble.
And we don't know that Johnny is the same emotional or inspirational type player as Nate Funk is, but he's been able to produce on the offensive end for the Huskers. As you mentioned, Marich not on the floor. Most of their big guys in trouble, and it's probably beneficial.
And a carry called on DeRusso. Back the other way. Turnover number 26 for the Huskers. And Creighton will get it back with 5:43 to play.
That point of emphasis, once again, carrying the ball on the dribble. Obviously, the Huskers are in a position where they have to play almost perfect offense from here on in.
Day back out to Dotzler. Creighton can afford to be patient here. Mathis fires up the 3, left that one short. Not the best shot Johnny's taken today. As Joe McCrail running up the floor, and Joe fires the quick 3, no good. Rebound tipped to DeRusso, and Day commits the foul inside. Jason DeRusso, boy, you wouldn't know the way he's playing, Scott, that he has 4 fouls, that he's had mostly 4 fouls for the second half.
Walker kept the ball alive, and DeRusso picks it up, goes up strong, picks up the foul against Day. That's the good news for Nebraska, is that DeRusso is at the line. The bad news is that DeRusso is at the line.
And now DeRusso 1 for 3 today at the line. 58% on the year. We talk with Nebraska folks, and if DeRusso hits that first free throw in the sequence, usually gets a little bit of that rhythm, starts to feel a little bit better at the line. It's when he misses that first that DeRusso has problems.
And this is his first try of the second half. He did miss 2 in the first half, but he gets to the line so frequently, 48 attempts in 7 games prior to today, almost 7 times a game. You'd really like him to be up around 70 to 75%, but he converts 2 right there.
Porter splits the trap, gets it over to Watts. Watts backing in against Wilkinson. He has 4 fouls. Nice dump off to Porter, and Porter is fouled by Joe McCray. So put McCray on that list of foul trouble. That's his 4th. Wilkinson, DeRusso, and McCray each with 4.
Nice offense by the Blue Jays, creating the need for the foul against McCray. So the Huskers not only battling inefficient offense, a 14-point deficit, but 3 of their 5 starters on the bench now with 4 fouls.
Porter's free throw is good. Nick Porter with 9 points. 54-39, the junior out of Compton, California. Transferred in from Compton Community College and redshirted last year after recovering from a knee injury. And he hits both of them. Dana Altman really thinks Nick Porter has great potential to become this kind of a scorer that we've seen today. The shots haven't fallen for Nick Porter, but they expect big things out of him.
They were very anxious to get him on the floor last year in his first year at Creighton, but the knee surgeries, as you mentioned, kept that from happening. And with the absences of Hibma, Funk, and Moats, he has a great opportunity to really step up and make a regular spot for himself in the rotation today. Very good game, 10 points, 6 rebounds.
Huskers will inbound, 4:41 to play, and it's getting close to pushing the panic button time. If you're Nebraska, you need points, and you need them in a hurry, trailing by 16. Marcus Walker lobs it into Jamel White, trying to feed the post, and he throws it away. He looked right at Wilkinson for a long time, gave Creighton an opportunity to pick that off.
Nice defense from Watts, but White really telegraphed the pass, much like a quarterback who throws an interception down the middle.
And Wilkinson is just fouled out. How about the job done by Josh Dotzler? Almost lost the possession, batted it over with one hand to Porter, and Wilkinson fouls out of the ball game. 6 points, 13 rebounds. And for the first time in 5 games, he will not have a double-double.
And there's what you were talking about, the great reaction by Dotzler. Recognition of what was happening on the floor, finds Porter underneath the basket. Certainly not the game Wes Wilkinson envisioned for himself in his final regular season appearance against the Blue Jays.
Wes Wilkinson has been such a huge factor for Nebraska at the start of this season, keying their 6-1 start. But frustrating today, Wilkinson just 2 for 7 from the floor. He did the job on the boards, 13 rebounds, couldn't get the shot to fall. Porter's free throw good, and Creighton's lead back up to 17. Porter sets again, 6 for 6 now from the line for Nick Porter. The Jays as a team 18 for 23 from the line. Nebraska just 2 for 7. DeRusso loses the ball out of bounds, and it's going to stay with the Huskers. Dana Altman can't believe it. He didn't think it was touched. The officials right there say yes, it was. Jumper in the corner. Tough 3 from Jamel White. How did he even get a look at the basket?
He was in the very absolute corner over there in front of the bench. Buries a 3. Still down 15, but a good sequence for the Huskers.
And Watts with the two-handed stuff as Nebraska's press is broken by Creighton, and it results in the easy 2.
It's reached the point where the Huskers have to gamble on defense, and Creighton has enough offensive weapons where it's going to take advantage of those opportunities when Nebraska gambles and misses.
White trying to bank one in. 3:37 to play. It's all Creighton, the Jays by 17. Porter on the drive, and he's pushed by B.J. Walker down low, number 2 on the Huskers junior post. So Walker commits the foul, and Creighton will shoot 2 more free throws after this timeout. Creighton on its way to its 4th win. They lead the Huskers by 17. The campus of Creighton University, and if this score holds for the final 3:31, that'll be a very happy place come tomorrow, as Creighton leading Nebraska inside the Quest Center 59-42, a 17-point lead for the Creighton Blue Jays, who've been beset with injuries. Nate Funk, Jimmy Moats, Pierce Hickman, none available today. Still winning by 17, and they've done it with great contributions, specifically from Johnny Mathis, and an extremely good defensive effort, forcing 27 Nebraska turnovers.
You have to give all the credit to the Creighton Blue Jays and Dana Altman and their coaching staff. Minus those 3 players come into today's game with only 8 scholarship players available on the bench. A 9th player who's a walk-on is over there in uniform, but really 8 players available. They don't want to stop doing what they like to do, and that is press the ball in the backcourt and run at good opportunities. And for the most part, they have been able to do that today. But a great effort from Mathis, career-high 26 points. Porter has helped. He's 6 of 6 at the free throw line, with 2 more tries right here.
I believe you jinxed him, Scott, as he
that
misses
happens.
his first. Now 6 of 7 for Nick Porter. And there it is, 60 to 42, 18-point lead. Marcus Walker loses it off his foot. He is extremely fast and a very bright star in the future for Nebraska, but he is still very young and at times a little bit out of control.
And that's something that he's going to have to play and get through and learn how to figure out, learn to take advantage of opportunities that present themselves, and also then not try to force the issue when it's not available. Again, this is the Huskers' first game away from Lincoln this year, and with a very young backcourt, it took a while for the Huskers to get comfortable against the pressure. And the result is turnover number 29. That's what the result is.
Marcus Walker, again, you saw the good and you saw the bad with Marcus Walker right there, but make no mistake, he's going to be a very good player for Nebraska in the years to come. An extremely bright future for the freshman out of Kansas City, Missouri.
Anxious to find out whether he becomes a point guard or whether he stays on the shooting guard side of things, and he could be both, but obviously a great scorer, more than 30 points a game as a senior in high school, so he clearly has the ability to shoot and score.
2-time top player in the Kansas City metro area. Great pass from Bishop inside. DeRusso commits the foul, and he's gone. Frustrating day for Jason DeRusso. 6 points, 11 rebounds, 2 for 7 from the floor, and DeRusso will sit down.
Well, we're inside 3 minutes. The margin is 18 points, so again, Nebraska is having a gamble. Not very active on the zone pressure right there, and Bishop's able to find Watts underneath the basket for the wide open layup. DeRusso has to stop it. He gives himself up for foul number 5, so he joins Wes Wilkinson on the bench as fouled out Huskers in today's game.
Watts' first free throw good. Dane Watts back at the line for one more, trying to reopen a 20-point lead for Creighton. Second free throw nailed. Watts good on both. 20-point lead for Creighton over Nebraska. Jamel White works it up against Creighton's pressure. White loses the dribble. Walker able to get it back. Ball knocked away. Watts has it taken away. Perry loses it out of bounds, and it'll belong to the Blue Jays. And even with a 20-point lead, Creighton still working hard on defense and forcing Nebraska mistakes.
And that's the Creighton way under Dana Altman. Year 12 in the Altman era here in Omaha. And he has been known for depth, pressure defense, great offense, and one of the better jobs probably in his recent past in the ball game today. Up 20 over the Huskers, the in-state rivals. Have won 6 times in a row against the Huskers in regular season play, and it looks like it's going to be number 7 today.
Johnny Mathis with 28 points, and I got to imagine, Scott, that this will be one of the more satisfying wins of Dana Altman's tenure. It's always nice to beat your in-state rival, but to play under the circumstances Creighton has played under with the injuries, and to put a performance like this together at home and on television, it's got to be a very satisfying day today.
We've talked about thoughts that couldn't have been in people's minds before today's game, and obviously with this kind of a lead, you don't envision that at all. As we're looking at the day, they found out Friday that Jimmy Moats would not be available, so that takes their scholarship player count down from 9 to 8. And obviously they had a game plan in place. The players have executed it on the floor. Nebraska has cooperated by making many unforced turnovers as well, but great defense for the Jays. And they're on the line to try and push their lead up even more.
Now, real frustration showing again Nebraska, the freshman, trying to make something happen. Marcus Walker and Jamel White just a little bit too aggressive as Johnny Mathis try to eclipse the 30-point barrier. If he hits them both, and he misses the first. Into the game for Creighton, Brees Nensu checks in, and for the first time today for Nebraska, freshman Kyle Marks. Into the lineup, Joe McCray, Marcus Walker sit down as Charles Richardson also back in for the Huskers. And the Jays are going to go to the bench, and Dustin Sitzman is going to get his first appearance. The walk-on will make his way into the lineup for Johnny Mathis, who leads to a rousing ovation. 29 points for the senior Johnny Mathis.
Big-time effort for Johnny Mathis today. 8 of 15 from the floor, including 5 of 8 behind the arc. 8 of 11 at the free throw line, and solid defense along the way.
Jamel White misses the three, leaves it short, thrown towards the sideline. Watts able to get a handle on it. And Creighton keeps the possession. Bishop weaving through traffic. Sitzman for three. It's good! And this crowd erupts. Even a big grin on the face of Dana Altman as the walk-on hits the three. White's three partially blocked. Tolliver keeps it in play. Creighton is going to move to 4-2. Nebraska will fall to 6-2 today. In one of the more impressive performances in the history of this series. Tolliver on the baseline is fouled with 37 seconds to play. B.J. Walker commits the foul. That is his third. And the first foray out of the Bob Devaney Sports Center this season for Nebraska is a forgettable one. Tolliver at the line. And the first free throw good. Tony Wilbrand, the senior from Alliance, into the Nebraska lineup for B.J. Walker. As essentially Nebraska throws in the towel, knowing that a 27-point deficit will be too much to overcome. Tolliver hits it second. And the celebration begins for the Creighton Blue Jays. 70-42, the lead for Creighton. White. Richardson foul line jumper. No good. The rebound by Wilbrand. Wilbrand takes it up and gets the bucket. First points of the season for Tony Wilbrand. And Creighton will count it down. Sitzman, oh, he wanted the three, wouldn't take it. Dana Altman says pull it out. Sitzman will back it out, and Creighton will dribble this one out. What a ball game today for the Creighton Blue Jays. The Creighton Blue Jays win it today. 70-44 over the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Creighton now 4-2 on the season. Dana Altman now 6-1 against Barry Collier. And the most lopsided loss for the Huskers in this series since Coach Collier took over 6 years ago. Creighton led with 29 from Johnny Mathis, 13 from Nick Porter. Nebraska's leading scorer, Joe McCray, with 8 points. Jamel White with 8 points, but the two combined on just 6 of 23 shooting from the field. Nebraska falls to Creighton today, 70-44, the victory for the Creighton Blue Jays. And standing by with our Scott Shoemaker is Dana Altman. Scott?
Thank you, Kevin. Dana, you've had a lot of big wins in your career. Creighton, how does this one stack up?
Well, I'm really proud of the guys. They really battled and hard circumstances for them, but they really came with a great effort, and very, very pleased with their effort.
Did you have any expectation that Johnny Mathis would come up with a game like you had today?
Well, Johnny had been struggling. He really felt bad, and he freed up a little bit, got a couple shots down early that I thought really helped him.
You've come off 2 straight losses on the road at DePaul and at Chattanooga. Did you have any expectation of the kind of way or the kind of style style of play that you had?
No, I was really worried about the game. I didn't know how we'd play. We haven't had real energized practices, and when Jimmy went down the other day, the guys really kind of took that hard, so I didn't know what to expect, but it was a great team effort, and the guys got together, and other than a few easy baskets in the second half, I thought they played pretty good.
Dana, thank you. Congratulations. Kevin, let's go back to you after this Creighton victory over the Nebraska Huskers.
Thank you, Scott. An impressive win today for the Creighton Blue Jays as they knock off Nebraska 70-44. We'll have more from Quest Center Omaha in a moment on NET Sports. NET Sports coverage of NCAA men's basketball is brought to you in part by the Strategic Air and Space Museum, located halfway between Omaha and Lincoln off I-80, presenting the Wright Brothers exhibit Birth of Aviation, now through January 14th. Kevin Kugler, Scott Shoemaker back with you from the Quest Center in Omaha. Well, it was not the outcome, certainly, that Barry Collier or perhaps Dana Altman expected today as Creighton defeats Nebraska 70-44. We were discussing during the break, Scott, as to whether or not this was the most complete game that Creighton has played. They didn't shoot the ball well, 29%, so that would probably limit that from the discussion. But certainly defensively, the best effort we've seen from the Jays all season long.
Absolutely. We saw the 91-90 double overtime victory over Dayton here on this floor as well. But in that game, Creighton played much better offense than it did today. Nebraska entered the game shooting just 17 of 62, 28% from the floor. Creighton played solid enough offense. They didn't shoot particularly well, but they, for the most part, took good care of the ball as well. And what an unbelievable effort considering the circumstances Creighton faced coming into the game.
Well, now if you're Barry Collier and Nebraska, coming into this game, you were trying to see where you were as a team. And with Creighton down their leading scorer, Nate Funk, losing Jimmy Moats to a stress fracture in his foot, he's out 3 to 5 weeks. Pierce Hibba, another experienced guy that Creighton isn't playing because of the injury. Your strength of schedule entering this game was 187 in the nation. You needed a benchmark, and I think it provided a benchmark, but it's probably not the results or the news that Barry Collier wanted to hear about his team.
Definitely, and no doubt they have a better idea of where they are now. This was the first time they had been away from their home court, and a predominantly Creighton crowd here, and the record crowd of 15,000 plus in the Quest Center. The freshman backcourt shows great promise, but it was unable to answer the press in the first half when Creighton really pulled away late for the 20-point halftime lead. And a frustrating game all the way around for the experienced players as well, in particular Wes Wilkinson and Jason DeRusso.
Dana Altman now 8-5 in his tenure at Creighton against his in-state rival, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Scott, enjoyed working with you. We'll do it again down the road very soon.
Sounds good, Kevin. Thank you.
For Scott Shoemaker and everyone at NET Sports, I'm Kevin Kugler. Repeating our final score from the Quest Center in Omaha. Creighton 77, Nebraska 44. So long from the Quest Center in Omaha, Nebraska.